drugs are a form of escapism, and the damage in taking them is not by any means self-limited. It damages other people also.
That was the intellectual father of modern American conservatism, William F. Buckley, Jr., who, by the way, would be horrified by 21st century Tea Partiers hijacking thoughtful conservatism and aiming it toward anarchy. Bill Buckley died in 2008 at the age of 82, and so was spared the horrors of the Tea Party takeover of the Republican Party. Bill Buckley burst onto the scene in 1951 with a bestseller about being a conservative undergraduate at Yale. A few years later, he was the founding editor of the National Review, instantly making it America's premier conservative journal. He became America's first politically conservative TV talk star, with the long-running show Firing Line, where he discussed the issues of the day, frequently debated liberals, and delighted in uninhibited displays of egotism, which were frequently charming but could turn very ugly, as happened with his gay bashing of Gore Vidal on Dick Cavett show. In that 1996 interview you just saw, Buckley was saying something that we can all agree with. Drugs are a form of escapism. David Brooks, the New York Times conservative columnist, said as much in his first column of the year, which might turn out to be his most controversial column of the year. David Brooks began the column by confessing to fond memories of pot smoking during his teenage years before, as he put it, he graduated to more satisfying pleasures. He went on to say, "I think being stoned is not a particularly uplifting form of pleasure and should be discouraged more than encouraged. We now have a couple of states, Colorado and Washington, that have gone into the business of effectively encouraging drug use." David Brooks's piece, as usual, has a few high-minded lines that seem to be an echo of Buckley, but his opposition to the legalization of marijuana put him in direct opposition to Bill Buckley.
My position on drugs is that the drug laws aren't working, and that more damage net is being done by their continuation on the books than would be done by withdrawing them from the books.
In what may be William F. Buckley Jr.'s most valuable legacy, he led the National Review to oppose the war on drugs 18 years ago and to favor legalization. And today, in an editorial that is the perfect answer to David Brooks's column, but does not mention Brooks or Buckley, the editors of the National Review have used the occasion of legalization in Colorado to make their case brilliantly. Launching 17 million Rocky Mountain High jokes, Colorado has become the first state to make the prudent choice of legalizing the consumption and sale of marijuana, thus dispensing with the charade of medical restrictions and recognizing the fact that while some people smoke marijuana to counter the effects of chemotherapy, most people smoke marijuana to get high. And that is not the worst thing in the world. The editorial went on to use a cost-benefit analysis of marijuana prohibition that Buckley was the first to use in the National Review 18 years ago. The history of marijuana prohibition is a catalog of unprofitable trade-offs, billions in enforcement costs, and hundreds of thousands of arrests each year in a fruitless attempt to control a mostly benign drug, the use of which remains widespread despite our energetic attempts at prohibition. We make a lot of criminals while preventing very little crime. The National Review editorial addressed a very important point that David Brooks ignored: alcohol addiction. Marijuana is a drug as abusable as any intoxicant is, and its long-term use is in some people associated with undesirable effects. But its effects are relatively mild, and while nearly half of American adults have smoked marijuana, few develop habits, much less habits that are lifelong. Compared to binge drinking or alcohol addiction, marijuana use is a minor public health concern. Alcohol has killed more people in cars and elsewhere than marijuana ever will, but alcohol remains legal and no doubt is sometimes served in David Brooks's home. In the middle of the Nixon administration, Bill Buckley revealed one of his greatest pleasures in an interview with Playboy magazine. He said, "I have discovered a new sensual treat which appropriately the readers of Playboy should be the first to know about. It is to have the President of the United States take notes while you are speaking to him." We can only hope that Republicans are still taking notes when William F. Buckley Jr. is speaking to them, as he did today, through the editors of the National Review. My next guests will be the Denver Post's new marijuana reporter and one of the new legal sellers of recreational marijuana in Colorado.